Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's join together in those words to start off this evening. Words that remind us, Shir Chadash, words that remind us that no matter the song we're singing, whenever we begin to sing, whenever we raise our voices in song and praise together, it should always be as if it's the first time, a new song. C major. Thank you. We're going to sing in C major, just in case you need to know. Is that right? No. Okay, we're going to do it here. Okay. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir. So, as I got all mixed up in the keys, I probably didn't tell you what page this is on. We're off to a good start tonight. Page 648, for those of you that need the words, page 648. Let's try that again. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. We will sing unto God a new song. So, Bruchim Habayim, welcome. May you be blessed as you come here to this space. We're delighted to be joined by friends and guests and friends of this community. Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, who's joining us here this evening. Welcome to you and to others who are joining us here this evening to this sacred space, a space this evening made even more sacred because we're joined as well by Rick and Tom and Daniel and Vicky and John and Jeffrey. As I stood in front of this panel earlier this week, taking in each of their names, looking at faces that so resembled my face in the 80s, as I read the remembrances and messages of their loved ones, I found myself awash in the ancient words of our forefather Jacob, who in last week's Torah portion, awakening from a dream of a ladder with angels descending and ascending, he realizes what it is that he has experienced in that moment and where it is that he is standing. And with a sense of amazement, he declares, Ma norah hamakom hazeh. Ma norah hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this place. Ein zeh ki im Beit Elohim. This is none other than the house of God. V'zeh sha'ar hashamayim, and this the gateway to heaven. That is indeed where we stand tonight, in an equally awesome and sacred place, blessed by the presence of these angels, 8 angels, who have descended the ladder from heaven tonight to spend this moment with us. And this is indeed a gateway to heaven. So tonight we will pause to remember these 8 sacred souls in whose presence we sit this evening. And we remember the names as well of the other 110,000 on that quilt. We will remember and bless the names of our own loved ones, friends, and family members taken from us much too soon, as well as the names of 40 million more who have been lost to this horrific plague. Tonight we commit to each of them to continue the work toward the eradication of HIV/AIDS as a public health threat by the end of this decade. And so we'll begin this evening with a moment of remembrance. So I'm going to invite, blessed to invite Jane Drucker, not yet, she's sitting behind you, to share a reading with us. As we begin this moment. And after she reads, I'm going to invite those of you who would like to come forward to light these memorial candles, and as you do so, to call out the names of those who you are remembering, that their names may be a source of blessing for all of us in this moment.
The prayer I'm about to read was written in 2006 by our Rabbi Emerita, Denise Egger. Today is World AIDS Day. We take time as a community to remember our friends and family members who have died from AIDS, HIV disease. Jewish tradition teaches us to revere the memory of our loved ones and to honor their lives in 2 ways: by giving tzedakah in their memory and by living our lives in their honor. World AIDS Day also reminds us that AIDS is still here. We still have a responsibility to continue our care for our friends and neighbors who have AIDS, HIV disease. In partnership with social service agencies, we must convince the members of our government to help those who have HIV disease and to educate and work for the prevention of this disease. World AIDS Day also reminds us that AIDS is a global issue that touches every nation and every continent. We cannot ignore the staggering numbers of people worldwide who are affected by HIV/AIDS. We light these candles in the memory, these candles of memory, yahrzeit candles, in memory of our loved ones. Bless their memory, let their souls be at rest and at peace. May these candles serve as symbols of hope and healing in our lives. As this yahrzeit light burns pure and bright, so may the memory of our dear ones brighten and purify our lives. And together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ner Adonai nishamat Adam chafez chol chadrei vatan. The life breath of humanity is the lamp of the eternal, revealing the eternal's innermost parts. Proverbs 20:27.
We'd like to invite those of you who would like to come forward to light a memorial candle now, and if you would like to share the name of those who you are lighting your candle for.
hush, hush, says your daddy's touch. Sleep, 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 says the hundredth sheep. Peace, 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 may you go in.
Keith Harrington had named numbers of people that had to suffer alone without family and other people around them.
Cruel joke,
Bill
you
Watson.
waited so long to show the one that you wanted wasn't a girl.
Almanac.
All your life, you kept it hidden inside. Now when you're
Steve Foreman, Steve Obershaw, David Fowler, Chris Lobbs, David Paul, David Woods, David Benmaris, David Dodson, Eggy's nephew.
sleep, sleep, sleep,
Fred Chaldiner.
says the hundredth sheep. Peace, 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 may you go in peace.
David Miller.
Maybe next time you'll be here.
All those others.
Wake up tomorrow, Alexander the Great. Open your eyes in a new life again. Oh, maybe next time you'll be given a chance.
Chuck Larrick.
Hush, hush, hush. Hush, hush, hush. Hush, hush, hush. Hush, hush, hush.
My ex, Fred Hoffman.
On page 120, 121, we will continue with as we light the rest of our memorial candles, also with the kindling of our Shabbat lights.
It's on, okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. O source of life, blessed are you, who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Bless Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the light of Shabbat. On page 123, we sanctify this moment by joining together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh Zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat lechaim. Shalom Aleichem, with which we take part in the tradition that says that Shabbat angels come on this day to join with us to add to the blessing and sanctity of this day. We join together in those words. Just give you the page number here momentarily. On page 142, page 142. We are blessed by the angels that surround us, blessed by the angels that join us. Let's join together. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruchu Shalom Alechem. Shalom Alechem. Shalom Alechem. Malachei Hasharet. Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech. Malachei Hamlachim. HaKadosh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem l'shalom malachei hashalom. Malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I invite you to take a moment to greet the angels sitting around you this evening. Wish them a Shabbat Shalom, meet somebody new. Good, thank you, thank you. invite you to turn in your prayer books, to remain standing and turn in your prayer books to page 146. As we join together in these words of praise. And please remain standing, page 146. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la. Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Phil Starr to come forward to share a reading with us.
Also from Rabbi Edgar in 2000, a reading from Avat Olam. We sing out in the hope that you, Adonai, will walk with us on our journeys. We have loved this people, Israel. You pardoned a pillar of smoke by day and a pillar of fire at night for the children of Israel in the desert. Provide now for us, those affected by HIV disease, a beacon to light our way in this desert of AIDS, in the barren wilderness of our illness. Urgently do we call out to you, be with us now and always. Redeem us from pain and help us to be whole once again. Strengthen our resolve and love us. Praised are you, Adonai, who loves our people Israel and lights our way.
Amen. Page 152 and 153. Words with which we express God's unity, through which we are reminded to serve always as witnesses to God's unity among all peoples in our world. I invite you to rise as we, if you are able, as we join together in the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. On page 154, we continue with the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanta ham levanecha v'dibarta b'ham b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Our hope. At times it seems as if all are gone. We look and see fewer faces, thinner faces, and yet we make our hope grow once again by planting seeds of love, seeds of renewal. Open hearts in community, and we will bloom and grow once again if we reach out to each other and to the Holy One. With the words we sing, which we first sang on the shore of the sea, we're reminded to always reach out, to connect with each other, and that way bring freedom and hope to all. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, vi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea. They sang this song of praise to you. Who is like you, Adonai? Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, vi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Page 160. We reach out in love to each other, that it may become a Sukkot Shalom, a sukkah of peace, surrounding us all, sheltering us all in God's presence. Let there be love, understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Ha'amidenu, Shomreinu lechayim, Ufros aleinu, Sukkot shlom lecha, Hashivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu, Shalom. friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Turn now to the tefillah, the core prayer, the central prayer of our worship. Our moment to be able to stand with God, face to face with God, to open our hearts, to express our prayers and our meditations in this moment. As we do, we begin with these words, this kavanah, this intention, which expresses our hope that whatever words come out of our mouth, whatever words pass through our lips, they are always words of praise for God. I invite you now to please rise. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid, tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid, tehilatecha. Continue now with our silent Amidah. The words of our prayer book from 164 through 180 are with the thoughts and prayers and meditations of your own hearts. I call your attention to a special prayer we add to the tefillah tonight. It's on your screens above you, and invite you to share in that prayer as well. And when you're prepared to do so, please feel free to be seated. Vehegyon libi I'd like to welcome Reverend Dr. Keith Cox to join me as we offer this prayer of healing, for which you have a response as well, which you'll find on the screen above you. When Miriam was sick, her brother Moses prayed, El na rafanala. Oh God, pray, heal her, please. We join in this response of prayer based on Moses' words to his sister. We pray for those who are now ill.
We pray for those who are affected by the disease of AIDS.
Heal them. Grant courage to those whose bodies, holy proof of your creative goodness, are violated by the illness and the pain of the illness.
Grant strength and compassion to families and friends who give their loving care and support and help them to overcome despair.
Grant wisdom to those who probe the deepest complexities of your world as they labor in the search for treatment and cures.
Grant clarity of vision and strength of purpose to the leaders of our institutions and our government. May they be moved to act with justice and compassion and find the courage to overcome fear and hatred.
Grant insight to us that we may understand that whenever death comes, we must accept it, but that before it comes, we must resist it by prolonging life and making our life worthy as long as it is lived. Thank you. On our screen now are the names of those loved by members of our community for whom we are offering our prayers of healing this Shabbat, adding to their names the names of those we do not know and the names of the 39 million plus living with HIV today. Before we join together in the words of our prayer, words we have just recited in this prayer for healing, El na rifana, God, please heal. I invite you, if there are those who you are thinking of and praying for this Shabbat, I want to invite you to take a moment to call out their names. Beirach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yivarech, Yirapeh, Et HaCholim. Beirach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yivarech, V'yirapeh et HaCholim. With a great honor and blessing to invite two of our members of our community to share their words and reflections with us on this World AIDS Day. 35 years we've been observing World AIDS Day. This year's theme, to remember and commit. And so I'd like to first invite Steve Addison to come forward to share some words with us, and he will be followed by Michael Sugar. Oops, you dropped it.
No, I was gonna say, thank you. Last year, I spoke of my fairy tale love story with my soulmate and partner, Bill, whose AIDS quilt was displayed on our synagogue wall. This year, I wanted to explore a different kind of love story, a self-love story, or, like the musical Into the Woods, what happens after the happily ever after ends. Throughout the early years of the AIDS pandemic, I was one of those guys donating to AIDS organizations like so many of you. And after Bill died, I was active raising hundreds of thousands of dollars each year for AIDS services by getting involved with several yearly events. When I lived in San Francisco, I helped stage manage the Help Is on the Way concert shows with Broadway stars. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I heard there was a similar kind of Broadway fundraiser here called the Stage Benefit, the world's longest-running AIDS fundraiser, which I helped stage manage and later organize the pre- and post-show VIP receptions as my volunteer service on the executive committee for 14 years. Lisa Freed was the person who nominated me for that. As a participant in the AIDS Marathon Training Program and APLA's Team to End AIDS program, I ran 20 marathons while collecting thousands of dollars in sponsorships to help provide services to AIDS organizations. As a professional event producer, a great many of my charitable events benefited HIV service organizations. I share all of this not to boast, but to say that a huge part of my identity in life was about raising money for AIDS causes, caring for others, and giving. So in the early 2000s, when I seroconverted to being HIV positive and also had some unforeseen financial challenges, with the medical costs mounting and my health in a downward spiral, I realized I needed help. It took me years to be able to reach out to those same organizations I helped to fund and become a recipient of their services. It took years for me to swallow my pride and admit that I was needy, that I could and should use the assistance given from various nonprofits. It was a paradigm shift. It was a change in my identity. It was a huge adjustment to my self-image. But even though it was uncomfortable, I knew it had to be done. It was a painful transition, but over the years, I've tapped into the programs and services offered by so many government entities for help with health insurance, premiums, prescription expenses. And local nonprofits have provided me with medical care, free acupuncture, chiropractic adjustments to help with pain management, education, social opportunities, and field trips and holiday celebrations with other HIV-positive people, as well as nutrition and food assistance. And then mental health therapy and so much more. And here at Kol Ami, the monthly HIV-positive rooftop support group lunch with the rabbi was a truly unique program for any religious organization. It provided a safe place to share resources, info, and the challenges and blessings of our lives with those who can relate and understand what it means to live with AIDS. And speaking of living with AIDS, the regular HIV medical update dinners that I attend help me to learn about the more recent drug options, the therapies, and other relevant topics. As a long-term survivor of AIDS, I find it incredible to be sitting in a room full of HIV-positive people learning about AIDS and heart disease, HIV and bone disease, and a dozen other medical issues that seniors, regardless of their HIV status, must deal with as we age into our 60s and beyond. For 25 to 35 years ago, someone with HIV living into the old age was nearly unthinkable. People were selling their life insurance, knowing their lifespan would be short. There was the period when we had no good treatment options, and having an AIDS diagnosis was pretty much a death sentence. And yet today, I find myself in a room learning how to deal with growing old and the health and medical issues facing those beginning to retire and who are elderly. I'm living with AIDS as a manageable disease and thinking about and planning for my golden years, and that is incredible. My fairy tale love story, being a caregiver and a philanthropist who only gave and helped to raise funds for others, all came to an end. But my self-love story was just beginning. Over the years, I've learned to care for myself, to reach out for and accept help, to make use of the amazing resources that are offered around us. Sometimes it's scary going into the woods after the happily ever after, but perhaps that is exactly what we need to do, to grow, to learn, to survive and thrive into the next chapters or that second act in our life.
Thank you, Steve. Very beautiful and moving. I appreciate your coming to talk with us today again. Is that better? Yes, okay. I just said thank you, Steve. I appreciate you. And thanks to all of you for coming tonight, to all of you to show that Shabbat and World AIDS Day are meaningful to all of us. I'm sitting here looking at the panels from the quilt and remembering that it's not possible to be in the presence of those panels and not feel something, not be washed over with thoughts and with memories. And recognizing that each of those panels doesn't just represent somebody who died. Each of those panels represents somebody who was loved and the effort that was put into making those panels. A little bit about my thoughts on World AIDS Day. I also am going to ramble probably a little bit. I'm going to be all over the map. I'm checking my watch because I just have so many thoughts and it's hard to sort of put them together. I was diagnosed in 1985 during the very early days of the pandemic. A lot has changed since then. I celebrate all the advances that we've made, but I'm also, of course, saddened by the losses that we've endured. Virtually all of the people who were my logical family, my family of choice at that time, are gone. And with World AIDS Day coming fast on the heels of Thanksgiving, I'm also thinking about gratitude. So I want to say a few words about that, gratitude and perspective. People that have known me for a long time know that I always say, life is a show about perspective. And so frequently I'm reminded of how true that is. On the day that I was diagnosed in 1985, my then doctor, who was a longtime supporter of Kol Ami, called me at work on the set of General Hospital and told me of my diagnosis. And nothing prepares you for that kind of news. But the cast and crew and writers and producers and everybody at General Hospital was so supportive of me in a way that I couldn't have expected. I mean, they saw that I was upset. I came out like immediately about what the issue was. And they wrote an AIDS storyline into the show immediately. And that was the most phenomenal expression of support. At that time, I also began to participate in clinical trials, which I still participate with today. I'm a member of several committees having to do with research, with treatment and prevention. I remember also at that time, I said to my doctor, once I composed myself, at that time, as Steve had mentioned, the prevailing wisdom was that the mortality rate was 100%. And I said to my doctor, I'm asking you please to humor me. Somebody has to beat this, and it might as well be me. I can't wrap my head around how or why I would fight this if I can't believe that somebody has to beat this. So humor me, please. And he said, okay. It was a time of so much loss, so much grief. There were very few options in terms of treatment. I remember going to hospitals, virtually making rounds, watching people getting sicker and sicker. They just disappeared in front of our eyes. And for me, it felt like I was potentially watching, Technicolor coming attractions. I was consumed with anger about our government that was doing nothing, that remained silent. At best, at worst, they said terrible, terrible things about people living with HIV and AIDS. But you know what? Anger can also be a motivator. It can really destroy you. It can tear you apart, or it can be a really powerful motivating force. And lucky for me, I discovered ACT UP. And so I took it to the streets, keeping AIDS in the faces of people who didn't want to know about it. Do you know how, I can't even describe how empowering that was. And once in Washington, with a group of people from ACT UP, we got arrested for making a little bit of a scene. We had some specific demands. We got the attention of the press, and we got arrested. By the way, I decided to wear these dog tags tonight. This is what I was wearing that day in Washington when I got arrested. One of them is blank, and the other one is a red ribbon. And I couldn't have known then that all of these years later, no matter what else I've done in my life, what else I've accomplished in my life, that's the thing that I'm proudest of. That I did something. I didn't just twiddle my thumbs, pissing and moaning, while all my friends were dying around me. In 1996, I went to a display of the AIDS Memorial Quilt in Washington. I went as a volunteer, and my dad, who was 89 years old, drove from York, Pennsylvania, about 100 miles away, to meet me at the quilt, which was the most incredible expression of love and support. I didn't expect him to be able to understand what this was for me. Many of you may have heard this story already, so just indulge me, please. My dad both of my parents were Holocaust survivors. And my dad understood this in a way that I didn't imagine that he would be able to. And what he said to me that day on the quilt, he put his arm around me and he said, "Michael, you are never going to get over this, but you must learn to live with it so that you can go on with your life." I remember there was a candlelight vigil at the Lincoln Memorial, and there were candles, like yahrzeit candles on the steps, hundreds of them. I took one of them, and I brought it home with me, and I still have it, and across it, it says, it's just a piece of paper that's taped onto it. It says, "Light this candle in memory of Alan Strunk." And I brought that candle home with me, and I decided, because it was too big for me, the grief that I had over the huge number of people that I had lost, I put away all the little reminders and mementos that I had from all of those people, and I keep that candle. Alan Strunk represents all of them. So my cottage tonight is for Alan Strunk as a symbol of everyone, of all of the lost. I did ultimately let myself off the hook. And I found that I was tormenting myself with, why am I still here? Why am I still here? And you know what? There are questions like that we ask ourselves that are irreconcilable. And sooner or later, if you're lucky, you let yourself off the hook. And you realize that irreconcilable means, if I live to be 1,000, an answer to that question isn't going to come from the outside. It has to come from in here. And the answer that I gave myself at that time was that maybe I was one of those people who was trusted to get the story right. So that sadness, that grief doesn't threaten to destroy me anymore. It's not the thing that's at the forefront of my mind, but it's here. It doesn't take a lot to scratch the surface. Just looking at everybody lighting these candles, the emotion just, I was just hit with a flood of emotion. All of that comes back, but life still is and always is a show about perspective. I feel privileged to have been entrusted by those over 100 friends that I've lost to tell our story and to keep their memories alive. I believe everything that we experience and all the people we've known make us the people who we are today. And on World AIDS Day, I'm aware that having been a caregiver to those many friends during those worst days of my life is the reason that I am as profoundly aware as I am of the depth of my capacity for compassion. That's something I don't think I'd have known about myself otherwise. So again, perspective is everything. And I hope that all of you, I'm asking all of you maybe to think about the experiences in your lives that have connected you with your awareness of compassion and how that can be carried out into the world to make the world better for us all. Shortly after seeing my dad at the quilt, he passed away. And I came to Kol Ami for the first time to say Kaddish for him. I had been disconnected from my Jewishness for a very long time, but I knew that it would matter to him to say Kaddish. So I'm so grateful that my dad introduced me to this community. I just want to mention these words up here. One night in this room, I looked at these words and I saw them in a whole different way than how I had ever seen them before. And I realized that, maybe you isn't God. Maybe you is us. Maybe this is a message to us. With you is the fountain of life, and by your light do we see light. That's how I read that today. So our history is something that we carry with us, and if we are lucky, it teaches us things. Hopefully it teaches us to live more fully and to be thankful for life, for our friends and families and husbands and wives and children and the gifts that God has given us. And may we all learn to give more freely in return. And finally, I want to share with you this letter that I got after that day at the quilt, before my dad passed away and I came to Kol Ami. And this is what he wrote to me. My dear son, I want you to know that I'm thinking of you every minute of the day and night, and I'm praying that in the very near future there will be a total cure for this unfortunate sickness that is snuffing out the life of so many young and talented people in our country and the entire world. Michael, please be strong and make every effort to overcome all the odds, and I always pray that you will reach an old age, and when I'm not here anymore, you'll tell everyone, my father told me that. Thank you.
Stephen and Michael, thank you. Stephen and Michael, thank you both so much. I think we can say honestly that to the two of you, you are the fountain of life, and by your light do we see light. I think we can all agree with that. There are many sacred moments that I am privileged to share in as a rabbi. As a clergy member, we have many sacred moments, but there are some that stand out, that are indelible, and I think about often. And one was what actually turned out to be the last meeting of your group. And what a profound and sacred moment it was to sit in your presence and to hear those stories, and I carry them with me. An equally profound moment was past Tuesday in this empty sanctuary standing in front of this quilt. And it just took me back to the 1980s and that time and the emotions and moments of those days, how horrific they were and scary they were, and how grateful we are that you are here to carry on that legacy. Thank you so much. We're going to pause for a moment before we turn to the conclusion of our service for a few announcements. Don't tell me who it is. It's Leonard.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Steve and Michael, for sharing your stories tonight and your vulnerability with us. Hi, everyone. My name is Leonard Slutsky. I'm a co-president of Congregation Kol Ami. We'd like to welcome you tonight in person and online. Special thank you to Rabbi Lutz for leading tonight's services, Lisa Edwards on piano, Travis Smith on audio, and Leonard Seelig for not only helping to set up today's Oneg, but sponsoring the Oneg today in observance of World AIDS Day and in memory of those who have passed away. And we'd also like to thank Reverend... Thank you. And we'd also like to thank Reverend Keith Cox for joining us tonight as well. We are forming a community 12-step monthly meeting. It will be a 12-step meeting for all programs on Zoom every month, starting the first Thursday of every month from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. The first will be on December 7th. Zoom link is available on our website. Next Friday, December 8th, please join us for a Hanukkah Shabbat. We'll begin our service outside, so please bring a menorah and candles. We'll be lighting the candles together. Then we'll join inside for the service and have latkes and donuts. Our next lunch bag assembly will be supporting the Hollywood Food Coalition and will be on December 9th at 12 p.m. in the sanctuary. Volunteers are needed, and it's a great time to help our community. Saturday, December 9th from 3 to 6 p.m., the men of Kol Ami are hosting a Hanukkah Havdalah garden party at the House of Dan Blatt. You can enjoy latkes, sufganiyot, and schmoozing. You can register online. Book Circle will be on December 9th at 4 p.m. Led by Jane Drucker, we'll be reading All Night Pharmacy. We are excited to announce that this author will be joining us for the book discussion. We're forming a B'nai Mitzvah class that's starting on December 10th, which will be led by Rabbi Robin Podolsky. You'll learn basic Hebrew reading, Torah chanting, Jewish texts, and many more. The class begins soon, so find information online. And Thursday, December 14th at 7 p.m. is the 8th night of Hanukkah. It will also be our winter fundraiser, Music of the Menorah. This will be a wonderful evening of dinner and musical performances led by David Kaminsky. Registration for dinner and donations can be made on our website. Lastly, on Christmas Day, we hope you'll join us and the members of BCC for our traditional Chinese buffet dinner at King Buffet on Western Avenue. Start time is 6 p.m. Please register so we know how many people will attend. Everyone is welcome. And as always, you can keep posted of everything happening on our website, kol-ami.org. And thank you all for being here tonight.
We are going to turn now to the Aleinu, which you'll find on page 586. But just before we do, we're going to invite Larry to come forward to share an Aleinu reading with us.
Shabbat Shalom. Michael, I was very touched by what you said. It reminded me of my father, whose family also went through the Holocaust. When Rabbi Lutz asked me to read something, I said, sure, why not? It's about AIDS, and the following couple of days, I was just filled with the 80s and the trauma and the horror. And I liked what you said, so much loss, so much grief. This is a short reading written by Rabbi Emeritus Denise Eger. And she came to LA in the early 80s, as did I, with a lot of enthusiasm. I left Riverside, a gay man, and came to LA to be an out gay man, and she came and began her rabbinate. And we had no idea what was going to befall us in the next decade. And she told me that she was one of the few clergy here in LA that would bury mostly men who had died of AIDS. And so she buried quite a number. And so if she should know anything about insensitive actions and bigotry, she would. And here's what she wrote. May we choose to be a blessing. May we choose to separate ourselves from insensitive actions and intolerant attitudes. May we choose to make our synagogue a place where all can be unburdened, where all can unburden themselves without fear of ridicule or gossip. May we choose to debunk the myths and hurtful stories about AIDS that force people into isolation. May we choose to form relationships that are caring and holy. May we choose to lobby for adequate health care and medical coverage for those who are HIV positive. May we choose to hold the hand of the sick. May we choose to live in this world as we would want to live in that era when every day will be like Shabbat, an image of perfection. May we choose to be a blessing.
Amen. Thank you, Larry. The words of Aleinu, the first word itself, asks us to choose. That word means it is up to us. Aleinu, it is up to us. May we always choose to be a source of healing, justice in our world. I invite you, if you are able, to please rise as we join together on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gdula liotzer breshim, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh Please be seated. A reading by the poet Alex Carter. After the plague years, we walked in the shadow of skyscrapers. We vogued in the shadow of death. Glitter balls cast silver stars on dancing faces, grimacing. We marched, we loved, we nursed, we grieved, shouting in the face of indifference, raging at the wall of denial. Too long gone now, the dancers, the DJs, the actors, lawyers, artists, waiters, too many buried young, too many never old. We remember them and say their names and ask that their memories will always be the blessing that we know they were. We call to mind this evening so many who died way too young. Remember especially those who are on our wall this evening: Rick Merritt, Rick Stowers, Tim Cooney, Daniel Matusek, Vicki Jean McDonough Dante, John Trantham, Jeffrey Waters, Rick Lenover, and the 40 million more who have died from AIDS-related illnesses over the years. We link their names to the names of our own loved ones, beloved members of our community. Remember especially those whose yahrzeit falls on this Shabbat. First, those whose names are on our wall of memory. We remember Abe Gittek, Martin Ross, Ruth Green, Claire Golden, Shirley Roberts, and recall the art site as well of Louis Weiner, Sandra Epstein, Tom Reuner, Jack Rosenblum, Adele Redfern, Jeff Moore, and Arnold Stone. And on the screen in front of you, you'll now see the names of loved ones of members of this congregation who have died in the last year, whose families are still in the period of Shana, saying Kaddish for the recent loss of their loved ones. And before we join together in Kaddish, I would invite you, if you are here saying Kaddish for someone in particular tonight, if you would like to please rise and share their name with us. In support of all the mourners among us, remembrance of all who have left none, we say Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be always for blessing. We'll rise together as a community, if you are able. On page 598, join together in these words of remembrance. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye echon u'vyom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mavarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Heyit barach v'ish tabach v'it pa'ar v'it romam v'it naseh. V'it adar v'it alev v'it halal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us, as we say, Amen. Please be seated. We'll join together in these words. Praying for peace, looking to the source of peace, but remembering that the only way peace comes into this world is by us being a source of peace and bringing that peace and wholeness into our world. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu be'akol Yisrael v'imeru amen. I invite you to join with me in this final prayer. On this World AIDS Day, we are mindful that AIDS is still with us. HIV disease is still coursing through our community and our world, and still there is no cure. There is no vaccine. For the health and well-being of those in our midst with HIV. Today we remember that AIDS is a disease of the body that affects our entire society. On this World AIDS Day, acknowledge that AIDS is a disease of women and men, gay and straight, bisexual and transgender people. We acknowledge that AIDS is a disease with in Africa, North America and South America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. No place is a refuge from HIV. On this World AIDS Day, we remember that our many friends, lovers, and family who have died. May their memory live on in blessing on this World AIDS Day. On this World AIDS Day, we remember ourselves anew to fight AIDS and be safe. We pledge ourselves to make a safe community for those with HIV. We pledge to not be silent in the face of lingering discrimination against those with AIDS. We pledge not to be silent in the face of shrinking resources for those with HIV/AIDS. And on this World AIDS Day, we pledge ourselves anew to healthy living and loving. And we'll conclude as we have been over these last many weeks with Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. Of course, the word Hatikva means hope, and so it has special meaning beyond just Israel on this Shabbat. The hope of this moment. We remember not to simply mourn, we remember because it provides us with a sense of hope that the future can be different. And indeed, as we have seen, we are beginning to see hope, signs of hope. Peter mentioned to me earlier about gentleman, the fourth patient, I believe, who has been completely cured through bone marrow transplant of AIDS altogether. We pray that by the year 2030, that we will have reached that point for so many more. And so we'll join together in Hatikva. I invite you to join with me. תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון בירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון וירושלים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight.